Hey YouTube, this is Firewizard23, and after making the Rescue from Gilligan's Island video, I thought maybe I should really give my thoughts on the actual whole series itself, a little more in depth. Like I said, I give the series kind of a B-, because I understand what it meant, and I understand what it is, and I'm giving it the B- purely as what it is. So, obviously the easiest thing is to start from the beginning. Where it's stuck. Okay, we have season 1. This was all in black and white, and I have to say, after I finished watching this, it was actually hard to start watching the color episodes. It's like, well, I kind of know the series in black and white, and I got used to how it aesthetically looked because of that. Again, my favorite episodes are the ones where they're actually trying to actively get off the island in some way, or there's actually some problem that happens on the island. I'm not a fan of the episodes of natives, or if a celebrity guest star shows up on the island for some reason. I don't know why. Those episodes I just kind of find very, very gimmicky. Not to mention the native episodes really show this show was written by white people. And so, let's start talking about the characters, and let's start with Gilligan, the titular Gilligan, played by Bob Denver. And I want to give so much credit to Bob Denver. He is carrying the physical comedy of this show. You need Bob for this, and this is practically a what's his name? This is practically a Jim Parsons performance. How much he is carrying this, and I wonder if he actually had a background in physical comedy. I haven't looked it up, but God, he does so well, and he is just the firecracker of the group. He is impulsive. He is naive. He's young. That's kind of his whole character, balanced against the skipper, played by Alan Hale Jr., who I learned apparently he refused a stunt double. He would not have any stunt double do any of his pratfalls or anything. He did everything himself. And Skipper, I want to say something about Skipper, and it's the same thing with the Professor. It falls into something that the Spoony one brought up on Counter Monkey, where why is he called the Skipper? Why is the Professor called the Professor? They have names. The Skipper's name is Jonah. The Professor's name is Roy. And this is purely for a quick identification with the audience. So when I say Skipper, we know who we're talking about. When I say the Professor, I know who we're talking about quickly. And it's really jarring to hear them after 3 years and so subsequently 15 years still calling them the Professor and the Skipper. It's really weird. Oh no, the Skipper tries to be in charge, tries to come up with plans to fix things on the island. That's pretty much his primal role. And keep Gilligan in line as best he can. Gilligan! They are the masters of the physical comedy of the show. We have Mr. and Mrs. Howell. They are the aristocrats of the show. Mr. Howell is incredibly rich. He knows banking terms and this high life, and this is, you have money and you have servants, and that's who he is. Mrs. Howell is a socialite. She is completely naive of common things. Like, I remember one, Lovey, it seems this weird watery substance is appearing on my forehead. Oh, I heard it from our gardener. It's called perspiration. That's who she is. She's fascinated by like really common things that she just has no concept of. Physical work is just something she's never done, and they're fun characters. They banter, and their banter is something that creates really good wittiness among them. We have the Professor. Professor is the straight man of the group. He does not do funny things. Funny things happen to the Professor, but he doesn't really do funny things. And one thing I really do not like about, actually, the entire series as a whole, he never gets an episode. I don't like that the Professor never has a single episode devoted to him and something about him and his problems. And I feel like I can think of at least one angle with him, which is that there's really no one on the island to talk to of his similar intelligence. That's really something that's missing from the island, and he could almost feel, not that he hates the other cast members, but he wishes he had someone to talk to who is really intelligent. Sometimes, like, he wishes he could discuss really high-end things, because mostly he's just spouting all this scientific information all the time, and Forgive me, let me look it up. What is his name? Because I know all the other characters' names, I just can't think of his. Just give me 1 second, viewers. Who played the professor? Russell Johnson, thank you. Russell Johnson. There he is. Russell Johnson, who played the professor. And he's, if I remember correctly, he said that he found the role very challenging because he was forced to memorize all the scientific information, which was really outside of his range. And so he found it a tough role to master. We have Ginger. Ginger is the subsequent, she is a movie star. She is beautiful. The series does her dirty very early on, that she is the complete, everything about her is sex, everything about her is how pretty she looks, about being in Hollywood. And these don't fade away as the series goes on, but they kind of back off a little bit because it plays her really dirty, and she's completely man crazy. It's this, I can at least 3 distinct times she puts the professor in a lip lock, or other male characters. It's really kind of bad. But that's who her character is. That's what she knows. She knows Hollywood. She knows beauty. So whenever there's a man she has to coerce in some way, leave it to me, big boy. Leave it to me. But it's just a man. What will you do? Well, if he's a man, that's his problem. Like, everything is about how she gets men to do what she wants and entraps men. And I don't know if this is wholesome by today's standards. I think someone would really have a problem with Ginger nowadays. But that's her character. And that's what she banters off with the others. And finally, we have Tina Louise, obviously, who famously despised the fact that she was on the show. Recently, she's backed off on that with COVID and the unfortunate passing of Dawn Wells. She's now as of this video, the only surviving cast member left. And she said, look, this show is bringing people happiness. And maybe she just decided to back off on it. She's like, look, I know there was all this stuff saying I hated being on Gilligan's Island, that I hated Ginger. She says that wasn't far from the truth. There is more than enough evidence to say that was true. But, her opinion could have just changed over time. Because purportedly, she was told this was going to be a show about 6 people trapped on an island with a movie star. To which Sherwood responded, well, didn't it give you a clue when the name of the show was Gilligan's Island, not Ginger's Island? And she was trapped, and she was in the contract, and she was furious, purportedly. And actually, this results in her not being in the TV movies. The Ginger likeness was changed for the animated series, where she was made into a blonde versus a redhead, just for legal, just because Sherwood owned the Ginger character, but Tina Louise owns her likeness. So I had to change it to a blonde just for that legal purpose. And in the Nintendo game, Gilligan's Island, Ginger does not appear. In the rendition of the Gilligan's Island opening of the beginning of the game, Ginger is not there, and she is not featured in the game at all. Though I can see if she actually was in the game, I could see her getting like a health benefit of some type, similar to the red-dressed lady in Link The Adventure of Link from Nintendo. I feel like it'd be kind of a similar situation. And finally, we have Marianne, played by Dawn Wells, who is the complete innocent farm girl, who knows domestic things, who knows how to cook, who knows how to sew. She's not stupid. She is not... Gilligan is naive. Marianne is innocent. That's the difference. Marianne wouldn't be taken by someone trying to trick her. She might not realize somebody's trying to trick her, but she's pretty obvious when it happens. Gilligan would never pick up on the fact that somebody's trying to trick her. Trick him. That's the big difference between Gilligan and Marianne. One is naivete, one is innocence. And she's just this motherly character. She's sometimes usually the token damsel in distress if she needs to be. She'll have problems. She has problems performing in front of others. She's not someone who seeks the spotlight. She seeks to keep to herself. And the 7 of them actually make a pretty good compass all around. They balance each other very, very well. There's a good effort in the ultimate creation of the show, where these 7 represent 7 very different people and 7 world points. And they balance out pretty well. And I just remembered, as I'm saying this, another type of episode I don't care for in this entire series. I don't care for the dream sequences. I don't care when we go off the island or we're doing some Gilligan's a king, and people are trying to listen to him, and like or they're doing a fairy tale. It's like, I don't understand why we're doing this. This is a way to fill airtime. This isn't actually something that's entertaining to me, and it's because the series is very episodic. Things happen in individual episodes. There is no serial nature of this show, because that was kind of the nature of most television programming. Like I said, by the time I got to season 2, we were in color. It was hard to adjust to color episodes. It's like, I was so used to seeing black and white, and all of a sudden everything's in color. It's like, okay, we're in color. And season 3 kind of continued the same thing. We're just simply in a color universe, and the series, unfortunately, thinking there was going to be a season 4, the series just kind of ends, and there's really no cliffhanger or footnote. Which, as famously known, the wife of the vice president of programming, was it ABC? I'm going to say ABC. Was it CBS? The network that aired this, maybe it was CBS. Famously was upset that Gunsmoke was getting canceled. Gilligan's Island had a 4th season slot. She handpicked her husband. Gilligan's Island got canceled in favor of another season of Gunsmoke. That's exactly what happened. And from what I understand, some of the cast members had actually bought houses near the studio and the set so they could more accommodate the schedule of the shooting. I would have been livid. I was one of those 7 people. I would have been livid. Except maybe Tina. She was probably happy. But I mean, I would have been so furious. Like, you've got to be kidding me. Towards the end of season 3, it just kind of just gets very grating. It's like, okay, do you have anything interesting to do here? And I was actually talking to coworkers at work who were like, yeah, I liked this as a kid and it was funny. I watch it now as an adult and there's really nothing here for me. This doesn't appeal to me anymore, and I don't know. And this worked in the time that it was made, what it was up against in terms of the public eye. We had the 60s happening. We had the Civil Rights Movement happening. We had Vietnam happening. Escape. Just pure escape. That's why this series worked when it did. Also heard a comment from a commentary on this, actually. A little vignette on this, saying, look, there was only like 3 networks. You watched what was on, and this just happened to be in the time slot of those times that someone could just escape and say, like, look, we just want to escape. Because critics hated this series. This show makes no sense on any practical level. This show makes absolutely no sense. And just lambasted it as the most ridiculous situation comedy ever made. And then the ratings came out, and they were trumping the ratings. They were still, by season 3, they were still in the Nielsen Top 20. And unfortunately, I've heard it time and time again from other series. Don Wells was like, you never would have canceled a show nowadays in the top 20. And I see it happen all the time. It's just, this kind of stuff happens. It's a moving, shifting medium of what's popular and what's not, and what gets greenlit and what doesn't. Like I said, I give the whole series a B-. It's not awful. There's no malevolence here. There's nothing that just makes me groan. Like, I hate watching this. But after watching almost the exact same plots for 3 years, 3 seasons, it's never going to change. It doesn't try to develop or be something more interesting. It's exactly what it is. And it's Gilligan's Island. So yeah, that's kind of my view of the whole series. So, this is Firewizard23. Take care and bye-bye for now, everybody.